Why DC's films will probably dominate Marvel's in 2020. That's the headline on today's MB Heroes.
Yes, Stephen, this one is coming in from Cinema Blend, and as you did allude to, they have given us a very controversial headline indeed, where they suggest that DC movies may very well dominate Marvel's next year in 2020. Now, I actually spoke about something very similar last week, and I actually suggested that I agreed with that assertion, that they would indeed have the more dominant movies, not just next year, but for the next slate, because they are both going through a transitional period. Both are releasing new sort of strategies. Obviously, the MCU has had to restart after the Infinity War saga. DC are similar. They've had to reboot after the failures of the DCEU. And it just seems to me that DC have the better strategy at the moment in terms of really prominent characters. They're getting really good directors in, whereas the MCU is essentially starting afresh with obviously a new saga. What's your thoughts on it though, Stephen? Do you agree with this assertion that DC have the better slate going forward, or indeed just next year?
I think from both studios, John, from the point of view of DC, they couldn't get any worse really, could they? You know, from 2-3 years ago. But they've sorted themselves out now. You know, we've had a couple of standalone movies with SHAZAM and Joker now. What we've been hearing from the Batman project as well has all been positive. So, yeah, from that point of view, I think they're starting to, you know, the foundations have been laid, and this is, you know, I think 2020 is going to be a very important year for DC and Warner Brothers. On the other hand, Marvel, who have been so successful in their formula over the last 12-13 years, it's a bit of a reboot for them now, so this is an opportunity for DC really to you know, take a stranglehold of you know, the comic book sort of film world, if you like, and you know, really excel. Last week I was very surprised the amount of announcements that came out from the studio with release dates. We were just talking before we came on air, SHAZAM 2 as well has been announced. So it's all looking good, you know. It's looking very positive for the studio. I'm glad because I'm not one or the other, to be honest with you, John. You know, I've always said that DC have had the better characters. I've also had the better villains. But Marvel, over the last decade or so, really have upped the game. You know, they've really set the benchmark. Thoroughly enjoyed all of the movies, even the bad ones, you know, like The Dark World, etc.
Yeah.
They've been at a good standard still, so they've set the, as I said, you know, they've set the benchmark. So it's up to DC now. This is the time for them to take the bull by the horns. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the slate as well.
Absolutely, Stephen. Look, you actually mentioned The Dark World. There was rumours that they were going to bring back those god-awful dark elf things, the villains in that movie, for the final sequence in Endgame. I'm glad they ditched that. Still an absolute travesty. They didn't utilise the giant ants, though, with obviously Scott Lang. That's a disgrace. But I agree with you, Stephen. I was surprised by the amount of information, release dates and whatnot that they released, DC Studios or Warner Brothers, whatever. It did take me aback. You know, I'm very excited for this upcoming slate from both, to see how they both handle this transitional period, how Kevin Feige can get fans on board for the Eternals. They do suggest in this article it's a very deep cut. It's something that will only go over well with perhaps the avid comic book readers.
Yeah.
That fans of the actual movies will not have a clue about these characters, so they have to almost do an Iron Man again and get the general audience on board with these characters very quickly. We'll be getting into an extended Eternals article though, where I'm sure we'll be speaking about the merits of that movie and just how they are maybe approaching that with some of the casting choices and whatnot, and one guy in particular who's worked his arse off. But actually, look, they've got a quote, or a poll I should say, at the bottom. The two major movies from both studios coming out, Black Widow and Eternals from Marvel. Now, very excited for Eternals. Can't wait to see Black Widow as well. But they rightly do, or they do rightly say, I think in this article, or perhaps it was another one, this movie could be a decade too late, the Black Widow movie. It could have came long ago, and has the time been missed? Has the window of opportunity gone? They then mentioned Birds of Prey and Wonder Woman from DC. I was
going to touch on that, John.
Yeah. Both female-led movies, but both incredibly exciting movies. They've got a really good cast. Ewan McGregor's in there as the villain, and obviously the Birds of Prey movie. And Wonder Woman, I really enjoyed that trailer. I thought it looked magnificent visually. Patty Jenkins, it looks as though they've got a great story there. So I'm more excited for DC's up-and-coming 2020 movies, I have to say. I agree with Cinema Blend. I think they'll dominate. But I think, as I did suggest last week as well, I don't know if you agree, it will equal itself out. We'll have a nice equilibrium of sorts. They will both get their shit together, and hopefully we'll have both of these great studios creating and churning out fantastic movies. That's great for everyone.
Yeah.
Competition is good, it's healthy. I don't know what your thoughts are on that though.
Well, John, I think
if you've got any,
it's going to be unusual. It's going to be very unusual to have both studios actually sorting their shit out. So yeah, I'm all on board for it. I think you're right. Wonder Woman and Harley Quinn really have been well received. Wonder Woman more so, throughout the years, but over the last 5 or so years, Harley Quinn's came into her own as well. That's one of the reasons I think she got her own film. Well, that and the collection of the Birds of Prey characters as well, but this will be her film. We all know that, let's not kid ourselves.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman 84, I want to call it.
1984, yeah.
Yeah. The trailer was superb. It's
Really
what I
was.
expect from a Patty Jenkins production anyway, John. And it's going to be very interesting as well. One of the things that did stand out to me, and I was a little bit cagey about before the release of the trailer, was, are they going to go down that sort of ashes to ashes, going out the road to make you know it's the 1980s, but they didn't do that, John. It was very subtle, in the costume designs and makeup, etc., and the music as well was fantastic. I think it was New Order's Blue Monday, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. I was about to say that, Stephen, you were a child of the 80s, you would know better than me. I was born at the tail end, just what that decade was like. I did say that in a trailer reaction video though, they seem to have got it just right. It's not over the top, zany neon lights and whatnot. Even the fashion, the bum bag on Steve. That's another thing. Steve is definitely Steve from the original movie. He's not a grandson like was alluded to. He seems to be a man out of time. They'll need to explain that, how that happened. But look, I agree with Cinema Blend. I'm actually looking more forward to DC for a change. But I'm sure once the Eternals drops, I'm sure it'll be a different story. They'll have me back in their grasp, the palm of their hands, doing whatever the hell they want to me. But look, Steve, we'll move on to the next article. On that note, it's all about Eternals. We'll start off with one. There's 3 articles in this extended topic. This first one's all about Kumail Nanjiani. Shirtless, he's ripped, to put it politely, and they're saying it will make you thirsty. Well, it doesn't make me thirsty. I don't know what that means. But yeah, I think that's just hints and shows once again the dedication these actors put in when they take on these superhero roles. We've seen it with Chris Pratt, obviously Star-Lord. Went from a very chubby guy who loved his food, apparently liked going over and getting tore into ribs and whatnot during his off days, became this ripped guy. And then here we are again, we've got Kumail, a guy who's been more stereotyped into obviously, what the hell do you call it, typecast into comedy movies in his career.
Pigeonholed,
pigeonholed. There's so many different ways of saying that and I can't get one right. But yeah, he looks incredible. And again, it just hints at what we're getting in this movie. These guys are really taking it serious. This could be the new Iron Man, the newest ensemble group who could lead us into this next slate. If this goat works, then it could all work. What was it, Jar Jar Binks, that quote from George Lucas, he's the key to it all. Yeah. What's your thoughts on this,
John,
first and foremost?
We'll soon see if they are the key. It's
could be
a lot of pressure
Strange
on them, but it's going to be a lot of pressure on all these characters going into this phase anyway. You're right, we're going into a phase now in Marvel where your layman's don't know anything about the Eternals. I'm certainly one of them, John. I'm not going to pretend otherwise, but these articles certainly help, educate people like ourselves and what's to come. Kingo, yeah, that's who he's playing. And you're right, I think the photographs prove a point. The actors, it's just what they do. It's what they do when they get into these franchises and what they need to do, and how serious they take it as well. But yeah, I think we'll just cover the Eternals, John, not just that article, because it is just a photograph of.
Yeah, there's 3 articles here, Stephen.
But I think I'm intrigued to find out, obviously, their history. We know that we're going to get some kind of backstory. I don't think it's going to be stretched over 7,000 years in real time.
No, not.
Certainly, we're going to get, we're going to get to understand where they came from, what they've been doing all this time, all through the last 3 phases of Marvel, and it's very interesting because unlike the Avengers, where we had the individual films building these characters up and bringing them all together, what Marvel have done here is an absolute Justice League, throwing them all in at once, but I think, John, if they do it right, it can be accepted, I think we're past that now, where we need to have every character's origin, we need to know where they come from, we need to know how they met, I'm sure we'll get this, but I don't think it's all going to be in the one film. I think what you're going to get is you're going to get little droplets, probably in Shang-Chi, etc. You're going to get all these things all slotting into place, because that's what Marvel are very good at doing. They're very good at building the blocks. Sometimes they're out of sequence. Black Widow, for instance, we're getting a prequel in Phase 4. Strange but true.
Set during Phase 2,
yeah,
3, Civil War.
And I think the casting as well is very important. I've been very impressed since obviously the announcement of the slate and the announcement of the cast, John. I've taken this sort of batch of superheroes very serious, because appointing this group of actors, Florence Pugh, one of them, Angelina Jolie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Penelope, is she in it? Yeah.
Penelope Cruz.
I don't know.
I can't remember, John. But
I'll have to have a look.
I think I just think we're in an unknown
Salma Hayek
sort of.
in it. I'm talking
that's who it was. That's who I was thinking of.
Yeah,
but
I was about to say that as well.
But I think we're just getting into this phase now, John, where unless you're really into the comic books, or maybe the animated stuff, to get a sort of general idea of these characters, we're pretty much out on a limb at the moment, and as I said, I think these articles kind of help people like ourselves to understand where these characters come from, what their purpose is as well, and what their intentions are, which is more important.
Absolutely, Stephen, and you did hint at the 7,000 years scale of this movie. Feige did come out and say that it would take place over the course of 7,000 years, hopefully not in real time, as you did say, but I think that alludes to just the scale of this movie, and just the amount of work it's going to go into. Perhaps this amount of, I don't know how long the running time is going to be, but it's very adventurous anyway, tackling that length of time. But I think you're right. I think this will just be to introduce these characters, perhaps show us where they were at this point, without just bogging it down and giving us a lengthy origin story. I think they'll give us the bare essentials for each individual character, and then they'll go. I think they were lying dormant on Earth, hiding in the shadows, and then obviously the events of the Infinity Sagas maybe brought them out of their doldrums, and they realise, look, this world has changed, we have to do our bit now, and they'll come out from the shadows and announce themselves to the world.
I don't mind them doing what they did with Captain Marvel, John. I mean, it would have been very jarring for that character to come in, into Endgame without having their own sort of backstory. It wasn't long and drawn out. There was an adventure in there and a story, and we didn't really have to get the ins and outs of everything.
I think they handled that backstory very well.
Flashbacks. For what it was, the film did get a lot of criticism afterwards. I don't think it's a bad film. I think
because of Brie Larson.
Yeah. Let's be honest. But I think the film itself, John, handled the character very well, and bringing her into Endgame at the very last sort of minute. I know she did all her sort of filming before she actually did the Captain Marvel film, but it just felt right the way they brought her in. You could not ignore the character and not have her in there, but at the same time, you didn't want her coming in and obviously taking over the place. Just, who are you? Where have you came from? Yeah. So I think putting that film in there really worked. I think if they use that kind of formula again with these characters, it wouldn't fail.
Yeah, I hope not, Stephen. I hope it absolutely succeeds. Being a massive fan of Marvel, like I am, I hope they are the sort of a trailblazers for this next slate of movies. We do know that Wandavision and obviously the Multiverse of Madness, which we'll get into very shortly as well, are going to be big parts in this next slate of movies. But they did hint it was going more celestial, more grandiose in scale, and I think we'll see that with the Asgardians of the Galaxy, which I hope they're called.
Yeah.
I hope we get Thor mixing with that, and that's not just a double bluff. We get this fourth Thor movie, Thor Love and Thunder, then it never goes back to the Guardians. I want to see him having his part. That celestial. We'll see, I think the Deviants will be the villains in the Eternals movie. So that again, along with also Captain Marvel, will be more celestial. It's going to be very cool. See this different tone, a different direction where they go off with this new slate of movies. I certainly can't wait for it. You're absolutely right about the cast, Richard Madden and whatnot, Salma Hayek, not goddamn Penelope Cruz, and Kumail Nanjiani, as we did speak about. Kit Harington's in there. There's a magnificent cast, and as I did allude to in the previous topic, with this being a sort of a transitional period, them being the sort of Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr. of this new slate, they had to get the casting bang on, and I feel that they've done it. They've got a great assembly of experienced heads in there, older, been there and seen it and done it and whatnot. Actors like Angelina Jolie, Salma Hayek, and then they have up and coming young talent. They've got a great blend, so I think it will work well. I know that Kevin Feige knows what he's doing, and if there's anybody I want involved in a movie like this in handling a transitional phase of movies, then it's that guy, because I know he will 9 times out of 10 get it right. He's like the Endgame, the one in 14 million chances. He's doing that in the corner, like obviously your man Cumberbatch. Yeah. But look, Steve, we'll move on to the next topic. We are giving it away here rather rapidly. We're about 15 minutes in, I want to say, and the next one is all about Crisis on Infinite Earths, but more centric on the great Brandon Routh himself. This is coming from CBR.com. Now, I know you have watched these. I actually haven't watched them yet, but they're suggesting that the man may not be done with Superman yet. Obviously, was Clark Kent, Kal-El, in Superman Returns back in 2006. He hung up the cape. He's now come back as an alternate version of this. Apparently he's absolutely magnificent. Perhaps you can share your thoughts. And they're suggesting that he could come back because this has opened the door and shown us perhaps a chink of light, a different variant on the character. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, John, when you say that I've seen them, I've actually saw the clips on YouTube. I haven't actually watched the television series or anything like that because I kind of fell away from the Arrowverse, etc. a long time ago. It was just too time consuming. There was too much going on. We were obviously setting up MBE at the time as well, so we obviously had a lot of time to
watch movies and fire out furiously those reviews. One a day.
I kind of lost track of it for a bit, but I did enjoy it. Brandon Routh, just getting back to him, John, I always enjoyed Superman Returns for what it was. It was always going to be a hard sort of path to follow after Christopher Reeves. Whoever it was going to struggle anyway. For what it was, Bryan Singer's film, Kevin Spacey in there, a couple of names you maybe not want to mention these days, but Brandon Routh for me did a great job. I think I didn't know who he was before he did the role. A lot of people think it's an impersonation of Christopher Reeve. I think that's a little bit unfair, but these clips have kind of rejuvenated and revitalised the interest in him playing Kal-El once more. I certainly would be on board for it, John, from what I've seen. I'm trying to remember them. Tom, can't remember his name.
I can never remember that guy's name.
I've seen the scene with him as well. Apparently, spoiler alert if you've not seen it. Clark Kent has given up his powers. And it's
Tom Welling.
Welling. That's it. Yeah. So I think it's a very interesting concept, John. And I think what the article's saying, it's this perfect template to do this as a feature film. It certainly would. I think Brandon Routh would be very interested. I had seen the film. I'd seen all the behind the scenes stuff as well. I think Robert Meyer Burnett was involved in some photography work on that film as well.
Great mind to have on board.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it wasn't a bad film. It just wasn't a great film. And a Superman film has to be great, unfortunately.
It does. Yeah, Stephen, look, you touched upon it there when you says that he was following on from very big footsteps, if I can speak. I'm absolutely getting destroyed with a sinus infection at the moment, so bear with me. I may be stuttering like a DJ from The Last Jedi, but I'll get there.
Stuttering Stanley
from The Sixth Sense, yes, but I'll get there in the end. You're absolutely right. I always view this guy as sort of like the Andrew Garfield of the Superman universe. He comes in and he's like in those in-between Spider-Man movies. You had Tobey Maguire, then it allowed us to get Tom Holland. It just rejuvenated it, did something slightly different, then it renewed interest after it perhaps waned a little bit. Also, we were nearly getting Nick Cage in the late 90s or mid-90s. So I think he did his job. It was an okay movie, much like those Spider-Man movies. The Amazing Spider-Man, the first one was good, the second one was shit, and then it allowed us to get a better take on it. For me personally, I think Henry Cavill is still my favourite Superman today. I love Christopher Reeves as well. I actually spoke with you about this before we came on, Stephen. It would have been amazing if that guy wasn't so unlucky in life and he was still able to walk and still with us, to see him appearing in Crisis on Infinite Earths with the likes of Brandon Routh and Tom Welling. That would have been an incredible moment, much like what we got with Doctor Who with Nosa at 10 or something like that. I can't recall the exact line, but it would have been amazing to have that sort of all coming together, all the different variations on the character. But I'd love to see this guy coming back to portray Superman, even if it's like a Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse setup where you have perhaps different universes and timelines colliding, and maybe it's a standalone movie like we got with Joker. They can do something very interesting with the story, very interesting thematically with it, and then it allows them to leave the door open, and they could maybe bring Henry Cavill back or someone else. There was some other guy getting linked with the role. It wasn't Michael B. Jordan, he was getting linked too, but there was somebody else. Leaves the door open for them to come back as well. But there's been a lot of criticism of Henry Cavill, Stephen, over the years, that he's too dark and too brooding, and he's not what you need for Superman. Superman has to be this sort of a chink of light, the ultimate good of humanity, and he has to be portrayed a certain way. And it feels like this guy, Brandon Routh, he was in between both. He wasn't quite Christopher Reeves. It was a continuation of that version, but he wasn't quite the dark brooding of Henry Cavill. So it would be nice to see him come back once again, because I tell you what, the hair is magnificent. Certainly get better hair than Henry Cavill, that's for sure. And the little grey flecks through it, it's just magnificent.
Yeah.
I'd love to see this guy coming back in a movie. And again, DC, just now, they seem to have the strategy right. I think they've got the foresight. If there's a chink of light and there's enough interest from this generated, I think we may see him come back. But look, Stephen, I don't know if you've got much more to add to
I was
it.
just going to mention John Cryer from 2.5 Men, and obviously all those 80s films as well. He actually appeared in Superman Quest for Peace. He played Lex Luthor's nephew, I think it was. He plays Lex Luthor actually in the Smallville scenes as well. I'm not sure if he carries it on, if there's maybe different versions of Lex Luthor, in this as well, this crossover. I don't know, John. But as I said, I only saw the YouTube clips. I liked what I saw, and certainly I think the film studio should really stand up and take notice of this formula, because I think it would work on the film.
Absolutely, Stephen. It's something we wanted to see. We wanted to see them, obviously Sony do it with Spider-Man. Maybe give us what the hell was he called again, that other version of Spider-Man? It's completely left me. It wasn't Miles Morales. We'd like to see that. Obviously making the transition over to live action. But Stephen, we have 3 articles left. I think we'll have to pick from one. I don't know which one you want to do. Do you want to talk about Benedict Cumberbatch perhaps coming into Wandavision?
I think so, John. I think this is very interesting,
Because we can then dive into another little topic I spoke about, and I can get your thoughts on it. It's coming from Comic Book Movie. It's a rumour that he will appear, and obviously he is appearing in Multiverse of Madness with obviously Wanda herself, Scarlet Witch. Apparently she's going to get that title finally in this series, incidentally. And then they're saying that they could cross over into the TV show as well, and he could appear as himself. Apparently these two separate IPs, the TV show and the movie, are sharing the same villain too, Nightmare. What is your thoughts on this? Is this something you'd like to see? The bold Cumberbatch coming in as the Sorcerer Supreme himself to Disney Plus. Again, showing up the likes of Boyega and Oscar Isaac, who turn their nose up at appearing in a Disney Plus TV show. I just watched William Dafoe in a trailer. If that guy's appearing on Disney Plus, no one's above it.
It's such a far cry, John, from Netflix Marvel stuff, where it was so separate. The Netflix sort of group were clinging on to the coattails of the MCU.
What was the guy, Stephen?
With the whole incident.
The incident, that was it.
They were clinging on there, and it was like the embarrassed big brother was swiping the young brother away. I don't want to know you, And thankfully that's all in the past now. It was a shame, obviously, the likes of Daredevil. I would have loved to have seen in the MCU, but understand why it didn't work. It seems to be the thing now, though. I think we're going to get these kind of television movie crossovers now, where you're getting characters from films. Obi-Wan, coming into a television series now. We're getting it obviously with WandaVision, and it's going to be very interesting to see Doctor Strange flit in between the sort of film world of the MCU and obviously television. This shows you how much television has come on over the last decade or so, with production and investment. I think that photograph's absolutely stunning, John. It's very interesting, very Pleasantville look. But I think this is the way to go now. You can really flesh out characters on television now. We're seeing it with The Mandalorian. First couple of episodes I was like, it's a bit soap opera-ish, but I think, the bigger picture is, obviously the way this is going to work. It's going to work this way for WandaVision as well. I wasn't really sure about, obviously, the concept of the show, how it was going to operate, how it was going to narrate. You've obviously filled me in, John, so... It's
going to be a sitcom. Yeah, it's starting off as a sitcom, apparently, and it's set in the 1950s.
Yeah.
And I think they're alluding to the fact that Elizabeth Olsen's character will be Scarlet Witch. I don't know why I'm getting all Inception-esque. She's going to be going off to an alternate universe to live a life with Vision, and then perhaps Doctor Strange will have to come in. Jesus Christ, I'm having a mare here. Stephen Strange will have to come in and try
Yes.
and rescue her from this alternate universe. So it's all very interesting, and you're right, Stephen, it'll be very strange to see these two characters flitting in between big sort of a theatrical release and a TV-centric show, and how they can tonally keep this going, visually how it's going to, can they keep this a similar level, a similar standard? Certainly The Mandalorian is stunning in terms of visuals, and it looks like a big blockbuster movie, so I think they've shown what they can do with that at least, but can it maintain that standard? Will there be a noticeable drop in quality, visually, story-wise? Lord knows. It's very, very, very interesting though, and I think it again just alludes to development and entertainment now. We're seeing the lines being blurred between TV and movie, so much so that you have the likes of Scorsese saying, well look, the MCU could be, I'm talking absolute crap, it was actually Spielberg, it was talking about something, make them for TV or something like that, and then they can go to the Emmys and get the rewards instead of the Oscars. That guy's a dinosaur now, though, in my book. He used to be an innovator. He's stuck in the past now. But the lines are being blurred ever more, so it's going to be very interesting to see how they can handle that. I'm very excited for the Falcon and the Winter Soldier movie, TV show. I'm very excited for this. Less so for Hawkeye, because that's just god awful. Everything down to the logo. But I love Clinton Barton, and I think he's passing the baton over to his young daughter. So there was heavy hinting at that with obviously the beginning of Endgame. But look, I haven't got much more to add to it, Stephen. I don't know if you have got anything to add. Do you want to dive into another topic very quickly? Let's dive into one very, very finally here. I can't even get the bloody thing to open up. It's all about Birds of Prey, and it's tracking, Stephen, for a similar opening to what we've seen with Shazam, obviously the original Shazam, not Shazam 2. It's not even made yet.
No.
I don't actually have the figures in front of me, but my memory suggests that Shazam opened okay. It was a minor success. It didn't make huge money. There was rumours that it wouldn't get a sequel, but it has now had a green-lit sequel. Do you think this would be a successful thing? An all-female cast with a couple of males in there. I think you've got somebody playing Jazz or something, his name is, and then you've got Black Skull, McGregor. Would this be a success?
It's interesting, John, because I think obviously a lot of people's fingers have been burnt with the original Suicide Squad, John. A lot of people, it left a bad taste in their mouth. Certainly Harley Quinn and Margot Robbie wasn't the problem in the film, certainly not, along with Will Smith. I think it's probably about right. You know, if you were to ask me how you think it would perform up against other DC, you know, trackings and box office numbers, I would probably put it there with Shazam as well. I think we're going into you know, another unknown film, just like we were for Shazam. We knew the backstory, obviously, of Shazam, if you'd, you know, read up on it. But just get into that, not knowing what the tone was going to be, etc. Until you got that trailer, you understood it was going to be sort of, you know, kind of comedy, sort of, you know, kind of seriousness as well in it as well. But I think getting into this one, it does have a sort of tone of the Suicide Squad, you know, and its sort of craziness, and that's all to do with the Harley Quinn character. So I think those figures are probably about right, John. I think they're not that far away from what you know, that film's going to, you know, get, you know, when it is released. I think it's probably about right.
Stephen, I think it'd be an absolute success for the movie, with obviously Charlie's Angels being the last female ensemble movie. Flippity floppity floppiting. $56 million worldwide.
It's a film we didn't need though, John.
We didn't need it, no. We need this movie, Steve. We need to get more Harley Quinn. I think the fact that Margot Robbie's character's in there will be the leading thing that propulses this movie off to minor success. I hope it is successful. I hope DC get their shit together, more so now than ever, because they seem to finally get a good strategy behind them. Hopefully it is a success. Hopefully it mirrors Shazam, because that was a good little movie as well. But different, because it has to be R-rated, more violent. But look, guys, that's going to round up today's MBE Heroes. What is your thoughts on the headline? Do you agree with whoever the hell it was that did the article that DC will indeed be dominating next year's box office, going head to head with the MCU? What is your thoughts on Eternals? What's your thoughts on Brandon Routh coming back as Superman? If you have anything to say at all about anything we have spoken about, you can comment below and let us know what your thoughts are down below in the comments section. You can also like the video if you've enjoyed it. You can dislike it if you've hated it. I don't really care. You can also subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying content like this. And if you do, then we'll be back again and you'll see us if you subscribe with MBE Movie News.